So check this out, I've got a new rack for my Trail 125. So this is the center rack that mounts behind the handlebars down on the center tube just forward of the seat. So this is a pretty popular style rack that people will use. I'll have an Amazon affiliate link down in the description below for this. This particular one, I chose it because it has holes here where we can mount a little cargo box. So a really popular thing that people will do here is take the small Apache Harbor Freight case. This is the 1800 case, and it fits perfectly on that rack. So I opted for the style rack that had holes in it so I can have a secure place to mount the box and not have the screws that mount the box go through various slots, because some of the racks have this is entirely flat, no holes except for a slot here, a slot here, a slot here, and a slot here. And if you have holes going through slots, there's a pretty good chance that over time the box may shift around just a little bit. So doing a lot of researching, found this on Amazon. I also found it on eBay initially for like $125, and then this one was on Amazon for about $75. Another popular rack that I'll have in the description below is one from Moto Skill, which is a tubular style rack with a little flat platform here. And then I'll also have one from Minimoto. So either those two racks would be good options as well. So one of the things that I don't like about this rack is that it's made of steel and it's extremely thick, which makes it pretty heavy for what it is. So if we get everything on here, we can see that it is well over 4 pounds. It's 4 pounds, 4.5 ounces. And then we'll add the Harbor Freight cargo box to it, and then that bumps it up to, it adds about 2 pounds. So we're at 6 pounds, 4 ounces. So what I want to actually do before I install the rack on the bike and before I even assemble the rack is get everything lined up and laid out for drilling the holes in the box. So I have some blue painter's tape that I taped to the bottom of the box here, and I have a center line drawn, and then on the rack I also have a center line drawn. So the box actually fits probably with only about a 1/2 inch of clearance as far as movement up and down, so like a 1/4 inch on each side. So I'm not too concerned about that. It's more or less just getting the box centered that I wanted to do. So I've gone to the hardware store, picked up a bunch of hardware to mount the box to the rack. I ended up getting SAE hardware instead of metric, because the metric hardware was about 3 times the cost. These 4 bolts, 4 fender washers, 4 smaller washers, this is what's going to hold the box to the rack. So the fender washers will be inside of the box, and then these other 4 smaller flat washers will be mounted to the bottom of the rack, and then the nuts. Center punch my holes right here, 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 and there, and then I pulled all the foam out. Now we're going to go ahead and drill those holes in the box. There's a small Allen head screw. We'll pull that out. We'll leave that little metal spacer in there, and then we'll put this little spacer in there. And then these 2 screws, there's one on each side. We'll pull those out. I've already got those out. And then we're going to go ahead and kind of lay this towel across here a little bit better, and then get the rack over here and mount it up. I've got the 2 side legs loosely installed on the rack. Let's go ahead and show you how I have the box configured to mount there. Like I had described earlier, I've got 4 holes here in the bottom of the box, and then 5/16 bolt, and then 4 1.25 inch fender washers. So for the bottom, I have some nylock nuts, and then I also have some small normal sized washers, and that's all stainless steel hardware. Each of the mounting screws up front, there's a long spacer. We install that spacer first. Then I put some Loctite on the screw, and then I ran the screw in, and we're going to go ahead and do that for the other side. And then I did have to take the box off, because if the box is installed, you can't get access to this screw right there. Here's looking at the other side, so I've already got the spacer installed, and the screw is just ran loosely in so far. So we're going to go ahead and get my tools up and tighten up both of those screws. Overall, it actually looks really good. The black on gray sets it off and it makes a nice accent. If I ever have to take that screw out again, I'll probably go ahead and put a flat washer on there, because the hole is kind of oversized in relation to that screw. There's a couple of different cargo bags that you can install on this too, sort of like a motorcycle tank bag, but are specifically made for this style of rack. So I'll have a link in the description below for a couple of those as well. Now I'll go ahead and get the towel put back under here, and then I'll install the box. We're just going to have to reach up under here, hold the nut with my hand, and then put all those on, and then get some tools in there. Now that I have the box mounted up, I'll show a few little tidbits of information that might be helpful. So I shouldn't have put so much effort into trying to center the box forward and back on the rack, because if you do, or if you have it biased towards the bottom of the rack, when you open the lid's going to hit the seat. So what I did was took a round file and enlarged my holes towards the back side of the box, or the front of the box, I should say, where the latches are. So I just basically elongated the holes a little bit towards the back side in orientation towards the bike, and then I could shift the box forward. So the box is pretty much bottomed out against the front of the rack. Another idea is you could flip the box the other way so that the lid opens up this direction, but then it kind of makes it a little difficult to get in and out of the box, as far as if you're seated on the bike. Like if you were using this as a tank bag and had your wallet or your cell phone or whatever in there. And another thing is, if it was the other way, it would hit the seat, so it wouldn't open up all the way. And as it is right now, yeah, it does open up all the way, but it won't stay open. So it's kind of going to be a one-handed operation to hold the lid up and get into your contents with the other hand. But at the end of the day, it looks really good. I'm happy with the results. That's just a little tidbit that if I did it again, I would do it a little bit differently and bias the box all the way towards the back as far as it would go, or I should say the front of the rack or the back of the box, so that it bottoms out right up here. But it looks good. And this box did come with some pick-apart foam with little blocks in here that you can cut out. There's what, I don't know, 3 layers of that, and then there's a thin layer that was at the bottom of the box, and that's just a flat piece of foam with no pick-apart function to it. Here's looking down at the box sitting on the bike. So I'm kind of shifted back on the seat just a little bit. My back is kind of right up against the rack. But this gives you an idea of what it looks like from sitting on the bike. So we're just going to go ahead and open it up real quick. Fairly easy to get into, of course, like I mentioned before. It'll be a one-handed operation getting your contents, or you could just hold it open with your leg like that. I'm 5'9", so that's about right. Well, I'm actually shifted back on the seat. This is about my normal seating position. So yeah, I could still hold it with my knee and kind of have my foot tiptoed on the foot peg just to get my knee up a little bit higher. Anyway, probably that just about wraps up this video, I think. So, like I had mentioned before, the primary reason I bought this particular brand rack was, 1, the price was right, and 2, the holes for the bolts that have the box bolted to the rack. I just like the fact that it had holes, 2 different holes here, 2 different holes here, instead of slots. Although with slots I could have positioned the box differently, but at the end of the day, the holes is really the better option. And this one was about, the rack itself was about $10 cheaper than the other least expensive rack that I found on Amazon. But I'll have a couple of different links to several different style racks depending on what your personal preference is. You can pick whichever rack you like.